Thank you, Prabhuji, for the opportunity. I will sing Hey Gopinath. So all of you can sing with me. I don't know any bit about singing, but it's just that I am having interest and I just try to sing in whatever voice, like, bad, good, I try to sing. So yeah, please sing with me. This is Hey Gopinath. So Prabhuji, if you want to pull the song, otherwise I can also share. I have it, whatever it works for you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hey Gopinath, Hey Gopinath, Hey Gopinath, Hey Gopinath, Hey Gopinath, Hey Gopinath, Mama Nivedana Shuno, Visai Durjana Sada Kamarata, Kichu nahi mora guno, Amara Varasha tumi, Tumara charane loinu sharana, Tumara kinkora ami. Hey Gopinath, Hey Gopinath, Hey Gopinath, Hey Gopinath, Kemone shodhibe more, na jani bhakti karne jada mati, korechi samsara ghore, sakali tomara maya, nahi mama bala jnana sunirmala, swadhina nahe kaya. Hey Gopinath, Hey Gopinath, Hey Gopinath, Hey Gopinath, Niyate charana sthana, Magye pamara kadiya, Karo hai karuna dana, Tumi to shakali paro, Durjana tare te tumara shakti, Ki ache papira ara. Hey Gopinath, Hey Gopinath, Hey Gopinath, Hey Gopinath, Tumi kirpa parabara, Jivera karane asiya prapanche, Lila koilu subistara, Ami ki doshe doshi, Ashura shakala pailo charana, Bindu dakha kilo basi. Hey Gopinath, नामनिवेदन शृणु हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरि बोल.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Anita Mataji and Anita Mataji, for that wonderful kirtan and bhajan.
Very nice, Mataji. Wonderful.
Thank you. I see there are 23 devotees are present, but only 3 besides me have the camera on. So it would be nice so that we can see whom we are talking to. So if you can turn your camera on, that would be nice. But if you are celebrating the World Shy Day today, then it's fine. So Mohan Prabhu, Pipal Prabhu, Sudhir Prabhu, Subham Prabhu, Lakshya Prabhu, thank you so much for joining. Puna Mataji, Ucha Mataji, Kartik Prabhu, Vishek Prabhu, Nayan Prabhu, thank you for taking out your time to give your association. Then Ranganath Mataji, Ram Prabhu, Baswati Mataji, iPhone Prabhuji, and Ekant Prabhu, thank you so much for taking out your time to read Bhagavad Gita, to sing together the holy names, and to remember Krishna through the chanting of the holy names. And by reading Bhagavad Gita is really a blessing for all of us. So we'll get started. So we are reading Bhagavad Gita as it is, as we all know. We don't have to keep as it is on the shelf, but we have to read Bhagavad Gita as it is. Sometimes some people keep the Bhagavad Gita in the red cloth or orange cloth as it is. My grandfather kept it as it is. My father kept it as it is. I'll follow the parampara. But we have to open the secrets of Bhagavad Gita. And especially when we open that secret in the association of devotees, we get unlimited times more blessings and learning and realizations to apply that teachings. So therefore, it's very important to first seek the blessings of the Guru Parampara. So we'll chant the Mangalacharan prayers, the prayers to invoke auspiciousness. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarini Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripātamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaham Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Yesterday was Guru Purnima, Vyasa Purnima, the disappearance of Sanatana Goswami Pad, and the disappearance day of Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. So a very auspicious day. So this is the or causeless fortune. Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavana Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasada Pai Bhakti Lata Bija. By the mercy of Shri Guru, we received this Bhakti Lata Bij. If it would not have been for Srila Prabhupada, we all would not have been sitting here. If it would not have been for the Advaita Acharya, Lord Chaitanya, how would he have come? And our, immediate causes, our Shiksha Gurus, Diksha Gurus, if it would not have been for them, the sacrifices they made, the love and care they showed us towards us, we all know in our hearts who that personality is, and ultimately connecting to Krishna through the medium of Guru Parampara. But we all have someone in our lives who helped us to get closer to the path of bhakti. If it would not have been for all our teachers, then we would not have been what we are today, or trying to be what we wish to be on the path of bhakti, and that is to get love of Godhead. So with special gratitude to all our teachers, Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru, Path Pradarshak Guru, and our preeminent Shiksha Guru, Srila Prabhupada, and unto that divine, wonderful parampara which goes all the way back up to Krishna, let's begin this reading of Bhagavad Gita. So we read till chapter 5, text number 4 yesterday. Yesterday means, in the last week's session, which was a week back. Time flies really fast, right? It doesn't feel like it. Actually feels like yesterday only. Time flies so fast now. So anyone remembers what we discussed, read, studied last time before we move on to this week's? Yes, Maswati Mataji, please tell.
So last week, the chapter 5, the acronym he said is TAPE. So we should not rush in the Krishna consciousness, but rather go step by step and also engage all the senses in Krishna consciousness.
That's a little tricky. Thank you for sharing that. So rush in the Krishna consciousness is an interesting word. Actually, it's not that we should not rush in Krishna consciousness. This is the urgent need. It means we should not rush for premature renunciation. That was the point. That was the question Arjuna asked.
We should engage.
We should engage our full self to the best of our abilities in the path of bhakti and not do artificial renunciation. So I think you intended to say that, but I just thought to clarify that. Yes, Vinita Mataji, you wanted to say something?
Hare Krishna, I want to say that we were discussing if it was better to renounce your work or to work in devotional service.
Very good. And that's exactly what question was asked. Because Arjuna understood culmination of work is knowledge, Now, if you have already explained about knowledge or jnana, then why are you saying me to act again or fight? So he had some confusion about this, which many people have, and we discussed that topic in great detail. That's why we only covered 4 verses. So today we'll move a little faster, and because all these verses go with the same theme. Till text number 12, the point conveyed is quite similar. They don't do renunciation of the activity, but rather do renunciation, the spirit of renunciation in the activity, and which will help us to make progress. So text number 5, let's begin today's discussion. Someone wants to read text 5? Yes, Anita Mataji, please.
Prabhuji, shall I read the shloka?
Yeah, sure.
Yat sankhe prapayate sthanam tad yoger api gamyate ekam sankyam cha yogam cha ya pashyati sa pasyati. Hare Krishna. One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. So the Sankhya Yoga, people think that Sankhya Yoga and this Karma Yoga are different, but the goal is the same. Now, one is easier than the other, and we will discuss that in a tabular format in more detail. But Arjuna is told that actually the goal of Sankhya Yoga or analytical study, understanding the science of Krishna, understanding about who am I, what's my relationship with the Supreme Lord, and how I should act, is basically the analytical study. But it could be a very lengthy process. This could be could take time, and when it takes time, then people may get bewildered also, right? If it's a very long journey, not everyone wants to go through the journey. Everyone wants, especially in Kali Yuga, lifespan is small, intelligence is small, everything is small. The desire to practice bhakti is small. So we want something which is easy and sublime. And that is the process of bhakti yoga or karma yoga in connection. Karma in connection to Krishna is also basically bhakti yoga. So we discussed this part as well. We'll move to and one who sees, right? One who sees, this is actually one. Pashyati api, ya pashyati sapashyati. That person, pashya means to see, pashya. That person who sees this is the actual seer. One who thinks, no, these are different things, is not the actual seer. Detachment from matter and attachment to Krishna are one and the same thing. Because detachment from matter cannot happen without attachment to Krishna. And that we'll learn in the next verse. So let's see the next verse, text 6. Who wants to read this one? Yes, Aparna Mataji. Now you can raise your hand and keep it raised until your turn is done, so I'll know who all are interested to read, so we can go a little smoother.
Hare Krishna. Sannyasah tu mahabaho dukham aptum ayo yagataha yoga yuktu munir brahma na siranye digha achati. Translation: merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. Back to you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So as we were discussing, that merely renouncing the activities is basically Falgu Vairagya. If you remember, we discussed that in our discussion last time also. Yeah, this verse from Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. When a person eager to achieve liberation renounces things related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thinking of them as material, that renunciation is incomplete. Falgu, we discussed this, Falgu Nadi, Falgu River. Inside one, the flow is running. Outside one is showing like I am renounced. Just wearing the dress of a sannyasi is not being a renounced order. Rather, what we have to do, whatever is favorable for rendering service, accept it. Whatever is unfavorable, we should reject it. That is real vairagya or special attachment to Krishna. Seeing things in relation to Krishna. We discussed the example of money, that how Prabhupada used millions of dollars to make hundreds of centers and temples all across the world. So money can be a bad thing if used in the wrong purpose. The same money can be used to open a lot of casinos and bars and used for multiple wrong things and sense gratification. But Prabhupada used the same money to spread Krishna consciousness, to distribute millions and millions. Even now also it's going on. Now there are thousands of centers of ISKCON all across the globe, and 100,000s of plates of prasadams are distributed every day across all the centers. So Prabhupada is explaining here the point. There are two classes of sannyasis. One is the Mayavadi sannyasi and other is the Vaishnava sannyasi. So Mayavadi sannyasi, they believe in, okay, rejection, okay. Then you become, they hold a single danda. They have a single danda. And then the goal is you become one with the Lord, one, ekadandi sannyas, that dandadharyena matrena nar narayan bhavet. And therefore they say after sannyas, Om Narayana Nama, that you have become Narayan. But Vaishnavas, sannyasi, they have three dandas. The three dandi sannyas is the three dandas of, we discuss BMW, body, mind, and words, kaya, vacha, and manasa. And then there is a curved danda, small one, if you have seen, that represents Atma. That my body, mind, and soul, and my complete self is at your lotus feet. So rather than artificial rejection, we believe in connection with not in the rejection, but in the connection with the Supreme Lord. And therefore we see in the sannyasis in ISKCON, they travel all across the world. They sometimes wear normal dress also, because there are certain countries which will not allow them to enter if they wear saffron robes, like Middle East, etc. There are many countries. We may not be even aware of that, because it's a good thing in India, US, we have the choice to practice whatever beliefs one may want to follow, which is in a very good way. But not every country is like that. So we should be grateful actually to the country also, so that they are allowing us to practice. If you go to the market wearing dhoti kurta, no one is going to put you behind the bars. But there are some countries, if you wear dhoti kurta and put tilak and all this stuff, then you could be put behind the jail. So the point is that, whatever is favorable, we accept it. And whatever is unfavorable for bhakti, we reject it. That's the main difference between the Mayavadi sannyasis and the Vaishnava sannyasi. And we'll discuss this in a nice tabular form here with the first few verses. So one devotee make this very nice table which kind of explains this point. So let's discuss this. So Mayavadi sannyas, renunciation, needs prior purification by prescribed duties. But the work in devotion, itself purifies. One may not be a self-realized soul, but if one continues to act on the path of bhakti, one will get purified and then eventually get to the highest destination. Then text number 5.2, which we studied last time. Jnana is not sufficient for liberation. Action. Love means to serve. Love means to act. And we cannot just stop action. So we have to act in relation to God. Then there is always the risk of fall down. right? Because there is no higher attachment. And we just studied in this verse, how can one be detached when one is not attached to Krishna? So there is risk of fall down. But in bhakti, it is said that even if one runs with eyes blindfolded, one will get success. Because there is no back door, there is no back gear. There is only forward gear in the path of bhakti yoga. If one stops at 50%, one will continue from 51 in the next life. If one stops at 90, one will do 91. Like so many examples, Ajamil, Jad Bharat, etc. There are so many examples in this connection. The Mayavadi renunciation is incomplete, right? Because there is no higher attachment. But the Vaishnava, the work in devotion, this complete renunciation means to use things in the service of Krishna. The root is, they're more in jnana. Okay, what is that root? What is that supreme? What? More analytical, more jnana. Kind of more ascending process. Let me figure out by my own what is that supreme. But in the Vaishnavism, it's a descending process. Descending process means we understand Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. Even in the beginning, one is like just starting the process of bhakti. In first 1 or 2 classes, one will certainly hear the name of Krishna, the name of he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It doesn't take a lot if one starts to come for ISKCON programs. In 1 or 2 classes, I'm sure. In every class, you'll hear at least the word Krishna 10 times. Because without him, everything is incomplete. So, but in Mayavadi, like one person sent me this Gita in 1 minute. He sent me Gita in 1 minute, and there was no name about Krishna. There was no mention about bhakti. And one said, okay, who is God? God is that supreme, intelligent, and inconceivable thing. Well, why do we complicate things so much? Krishna is saying, I am that. There are so many verses, but the people therefore give different interpretation. Therefore, we have to read Bhagavad Gita as it is, where Krishna is the source, Krishna is the supreme Bhagavan, and we have to water that root. And Mayavadi, the focus is on detachment. Don't do this, don't do this, don't. And then Baba, what to do? Bhakti is simple. We don't say don't do this, don't do this. Eventually, when you give the higher taste to a baby, the lower taste will automatically give. So focus more on the attachment. You chant Hare Krishna, you take Krishna Prasad, you sing his holy names, all the impurities will naturally go away, right? Then text number 6 also talks about the restricted senses cannot relish transcendental devotional service. So basically, it's not a joyful process, but bhakti is a joyful process. You chant, you dance, you take prasad. Devotees in Chaitanya Charitamrita like are throwing prasad out of love. There's so many festivals, joy. Even fasting is joyful, chanting is joyful, bhakti is joyful, Sankirtan festival, Janmashtami festival, Krishna, Balram, Balram Purnima festival, all are called festival. Utsav is there. And then Mayavadis keep taking repeated births until one gets to the path of bhakti. One will keep moving back and forth. But the Vaishnavas, they yadgatvana nivartante tadhama paramam mama. They go back home, back to Krishna. And the Jnani is busy in Sankhya, etc. But Vaishnavas, we study Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam primarily. They are the crux of bhakti. So, and may fall down to philanthropic activities, altruistic activities. But devotees have multiple engagements. There is no question of falling down. If one is sincere, one will continue to make spiritual progress and one will get to the goal of life. So it's a very nice comparison between the jnanis or artificial, detachment, without attachment to Krishna, and on the path of bhakti yoga, or working in devotion, working in relation to Krishna. Shall we move to the next verse, 6-7? Anyone has any comments or questions before that? Yes, Ramon Prabhu, you want to do?
Prabhuji, I would like to say.
Yeah, please tell.
Yoga yukto visuddhatma vichitatma jitendriya sarvabhutama bhutama kurvan apina lipyate. Translation: one who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who controls his mind and senses is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you so much for reading. This is a very important verse. And we titled our today's discussion, Yoga Yukta. Yoga Yukta. Yukta means engaged, busy. In what? In real yoga, which is devotional service. Vishuddha Atma. Shuddha means pure or purified. So that that purified soul. And Vijit Atma, self-control. Jitendriya, that means one who has controlled one's mind and senses. Indriya is senses. So basically, one who is engaged on the path of bhakti, one who has mind and senses control. And when one is on the path of bhakti, the mind and senses will naturally get more tamed, right? This is a process to tame our mind and senses. Not by artificially saying no, 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 but giving the right yes. Then the mind and senses, because they need engagement. It's like, the mind is like a monkey. You tell monkey, don't, or just now, if I tell you, don't think of the bananas, what will for the first thing come in our mind? The bananas. But if we say, okay, let's transport ourselves to Vrindavan. Let's think of the Govardhan Hill. We imagine ourselves walking around the Govind Kund, the Sham Kund, Radha Kund, Kusum Sarovar, Punchrika Lota Baba, offering our prostrated obeisance at the dust of Sri Giri Govardhan. Then our mind is completely engaged. There is no question of thinking of banana, right? So we have to give the positive engagement. And over here, we can transport ourselves to Vrindavan, to other holy places. So that person, na lipyate. That person, na lipyate. Lip means to tangle. That person is very dear also. Sarva bhutatma bhutatma. He is very, very kind and compassionate to others, because he's only working for the benefit of others. Suhridam sarva bhutana. So everyone is very dear to him or her, and he or she is dear to everyone. That means that person has no enemies, like the Goswamis. Srila Rupa Sanatan Goswami. I'll tell you a story from yesterday, Sanatan Goswami's disappearance day. Sanatan Goswami was like the guru for the entire Vrindavan. And everyone loved him so much. Really, like a father, like a guru. They really loved him from the heart. Dhira adhira priya jano. Dhira means sober person, intelligent. Adhira, even the gentle and the ruffians would also love him, would also respect him as their guru, as his guru. And when Sanatana Goswami disappeared, everyone shaved off their head, as a son would do for the father, out of feeling sad. Everyone was in tears when Sanatana Goswami joined Krishna's Goloka Vrindavan to serve there. And till this day actually, the devotees in Raja shave off their head on this day of Guru Purnima, which is Sanatana Goswami Pad's disappearance day, and then they all do Govardhan Parikrama. So, because such souls are dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to them. They only think of welfare of everyone. When the Sanatana Goswami would come in the village, they would cry out of love. When he would have to go to the other village, the one village would cry out of Viraha, other village would cry out of Sambhoga. They will get his union, his association, the other village would cry out, oh, we will miss him until he comes next time. Right? This is the qualities of great souls. Those who are sense controlled, those who are mind controlled, and those who are yoga yukta. They are completely purified in the state of self-realization. They are not thinking of anyone's evil. They're only thinking of one thing, how to serve others. Why did Prabhupada come to United States? With only one intention, to serve, to please this Guru. He couldn't see the suffering of others. So, comes to act in a Krishna conscious way, yoga yukta. Let's again break down these words. Yoga yukta means engaged in the process of bhakti with purified self and controlling mind and senses, Vijit Atma, Jitendriya, thinking of welfare of everyone, it means dear to everyone, and everyone thinks of their welfare. Kurvan apina lipyate. Such person is not entangled. Although one may be doing actions, but those actions are on a spiritual level, yoga yukta. They are not sharira yukta. They are not swartha yukta, not selfishly engaged, not based on designations of body, mind. Okay, I will only help, people from my community. It's also selfishness. Okay, I'll only help people who look like me, or who are aged like me, or just my own family, because not family yukta. So completely absorbed in bhakti with purified mind and intelligence. And such a person, as mentioned here, that Arjuna, while fighting on the battlefield, was not really fighting at all. He was simply carrying out the orders of Krishna in full Krishna consciousness. Such a person is not entangled, never entangled. Why? Because he's acting for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, acting for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. If Krishna is telling us, Guru is telling us to do something and we do it as it is, then the person is not entangled. Let's see the next two verses. Yes, Sudhir Prabhu, I'm going to read.
Sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna devotees, and the now of Mr. Text 8 and 9. Naivya kinchet karomiti yukto manyate tatvave pasyan sranpan sparshan chikran asnan gachan swapan swasan pralapan visruchan grihan unmisan nimisan api indriyani indriyaschu vartanta iti dharmayan. Translation by His Divine Grace C.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all, because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So Prabhupada is mentioning here nicely that there are up to 5 immediate and remote causes. We are not the doer. A person who does not have real knowledge will think, oh, I can do whatever I want. I can eat whatever I want. I can go wherever I want. I can, even the food, if we are the controller, then no one should have indigestion, right? If we are the controller, then we should be able to control our evacuation, right? But when the urge comes, no one can control it. No, not these should be controlled, right? And just think about, our heart is running, we are breathing. Do we feel it? They're acting, by the arrangement of the Lord. We don't have to think, oh, tell the heart, okay, now you beat, okay, in the nostrils, now you breathe, okay, eyes, you blink. Even if you have to, let's say, consume food, it's so spontaneous. But if you go behind the scene, there are so many things acting, right? First, there is desires. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram. I was giving the example of eating. So first there is desire. The intellect works. Okay, I'm hungry. I want to eat something. And then the intelligence will tell, okay, oh, my mother made some gulab jamun. It might be in the fridge. So it's all happening, right? Then the legs work, right? Walking. Then the muscles, the brain muscles give signal to the hand muscles. And then now you grab that bowl of gulab jamun and now you heat it. And then it goes in the mouth only. Doesn't go in the ear. All that is so spontaneous. Our intelligence is acting, is working. Our eyes are working. Our hands are working. The muscles are working. We are breathing. Our heart is beating. The legs are working. It's so spontaneous, right? We don't even feel it. It's from a scientific perspective. So there are multiple causes: the doer, the work, the situation, endeavor, and fortune. So basically, one should not think I am the sole doer. Ahankara vimudatma karta hamiti manyate. Which verse is that, Lakshay? Who knows the verse number for this? Yes, Vinita?
3.27.
3.27. What's the full verse?
Prakriti kriyamanaani gulnai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudata atma karta hamiti manyate.
Very nice. So you must have all seen the announcement that His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Samit Maharaj will be there next Sunday. So I'm very excited for that. And some of you are giving exams and you'll be getting special blessings. He'll be giving a class also about the importance of memorizing verses. So it's good. All these are very important verses which you will see multiple times in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. So thank you for sharing the 327. So a foolish person, ahankara vimudatma, being puffed up with one's own self, thinks that I am the doer. I can control what I want. The more one thinks like that, the more one will suffer. But a person in the divine consciousness, in a self-realized state, feels that Krishna is, I am just a nimitta, I am just an instrument. He is the puppeteer. I am the puppet. He moves the left string here, and my hands move. He moves the right string. All of you have seen some puppet show at some point in life, or at least on the video, on a TV or something. So the puppeteer may not be seen, but the puppet is working, and it seems to a child or a less trained eye that the puppet is so nicely dancing. But how is the puppet dancing? Because the puppeteer, the expert puppeteer. So a person in divine consciousness surrenders to the will of Guru and Krishna. And as Srila Prabhupada said, Nachao, Nachao, Nachao se mate, when he was in Jaladuta, he wrote this prayer, the Krishna, make me dance the way you would want me to dance. Because I don't have any qualification. I can't share this message of Bhagavad Gita to anyone, but you make me dance. The way you want me to do all the activities, I will do. So basically that person is aloof from all the reaction. Na lipyati. Like the other example, we can understand the body and the car. The body is like the car and the driver. The car does a lot of things, like there is steering is moving and the engine is running, the brakes and the lights and so many things are there in the car. But the car does not feel that, wow, I'm such a nice car. It's the expert driver who runs the car. And the expert driver who has learned from an expert teacher would drive that car in a nice way. So there is no glories to the car, but to the expert driver. And I want to share one verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam in this connection, which you all would like. And we are very fortunate that His Grace Ramya Prabhu has also joined us. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your association and blessings. Feel free to add or correct us in this reading of Bhagavad Gita. Thank you. So would someone like to read this beautiful verse from Canto 7, which is very pertinent in this connection? Yes, Vipul Prabhu?
Hare Prabhuji, Hare Devotees, Dhanva Pranam, all gracious Srila Prabhupada. With Bhagavatam 7.4, 38. Ashina Paratan Ashanan Shanana Prapiban Bhuvan Nanushan Dhatto Itani Govindo Puriram Vitaha. Prahlad Maharaj was always absorbed in thought of Krishna. Thus, being always embraced by the Lord, he did not know how his bodily necessities, such as sitting, walking, eating, lying down, drinking, and talking, were being automatically performed. Don't read more, or just stop here.
Thank you, Prabhu. Maybe Sampada Mataji can read the purport. It's a small purport here.
Hare Krishna. A small child, while being cared by his mother, does not know how the needs of the body for eating, sleeping, lying down, passing water, and evacuating and are being fulfilled. He is simply satisfied to be on the lap of his mother. Similarly, Prahlad Maharaj was exactly like a small child being cared for by Govinda. The necessary activities of his body were performed without his knowledge. As a father and mother care for their child, Govinda cared for Prahlad Maharaj, who remained always absorbed in thoughts of Govinda. This is Krishna consciousness. Prahlad Maharaj is the vivid example of perfection in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna Babaji.
Vipul, thank you so much. Isn't that amazing? Just think about a child is being cared for by parents, elders. The child does not have to think, where will I get food? Where will I get clothes? The child is just dependent and the parents take care of him or her. The eating, sleeping, evacuation, all that stuff without his or her knowledge. Why? Because the child is completely dependent on the parents. Krishna is Bhakta Vatsalaha. Sadhavo Hridaya Mahyam. Krishna lives in the heart of devotees and devotees live in the heart of Krishna. Krishna thinks nothing but of his devotees and devotees think nothing of but him. So that person, we recently read the example of Amrish Maharaj in the Bhagavatam 9.5 and 6. So much Krishna loves that even without that devotee asking, Krishna sent the Sudarshan Chakra for help. Prahlad Maharaj was so absorbed. People said, Shani Graha has come and Chandra Graha has come. But Prahlad Maharaj was absorbed by Krishna Graha. He was influenced by Krishna Graha. That means he could not think of anything but Krishna. Iha yasya harirdasya karmana manasagira. Completely absorb one's body, mind, and words in the service of the Supreme Lord. And to such a person, how he was also eating, sleeping, later he became a ruler, also drinking, talking, managerial affairs, etc., kingdom, but automatically performed. In Hindi, there is a very sweet bhajan which I like. Mera aapki kripa se sab kaam ho raha hai, karte ho tum kanaiya, mera naam ho raha hai. That, oh Lord, you do everything. People think I am doing it. Prabhupada also had the same mood. People think, Prabhupada never felt I am the one who transformed the whole world. I am just a tiny servant of my Guru. It's the glories of my Guru. It's the glories of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I'm just a tiny puppet. Puppet has no glory. It's a glory to the puppeteer. पटियार के बिना भी मेरी नाव चल रही है, हैरान है ज़माना मंजिल भी मिल रही, and I am achieving the destination. My boat has no oar, but still it's running. Why? Because you Guru Karnadhara, you are the transcendental boatman in the captain of the captain of my boat. Therefore, my boat is sailing in the right direction. So, a devotee has taken shelter of the Supreme Lord and his bona fide representative, Sri Guru. And then all the actions, his work, family, job, all this happens spontaneously. Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kore Sudrida Nishchay, Krishna Bhakti Kaila Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. Shraddha Shabde, one who has firm faith that Krishna Bhakti Koila Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. If I take full shelter of Krishna, if I do Krishna Bhakti, that means in my this divine consciousness, like Prahlad absorbed in the thoughts of the Supreme Lord, Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. All the other activities will fall in place without even one's notice, like a child, without even one's notice. So this is a very nice purport, very nice verse. He cannot perform any act except in the service of the Lord, because he knows that he is the eternal servitor of the Lord. One who knows, one who is in that consciousness, the divine consciousness, self-realized state, completely surrendered to Krishna, then there is no worry. Everything will fall in place. All we have to do is to, rather than trying to solve material problems with a material solution, every problem has one solution, and that is Krishna consciousness. So, any other thoughts or comments, additions before we move to the next one? So, Radha Mataji, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Brahmani adhyay karmani sangam tyakta karothiya lipyate na sa papine padma patram ivambasha. Translation: one who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus feet is untouched by water. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Back to you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So again, the Supreme Lord is repeating that word. You remember which word you're referring to? Anyone? We just read. Yes, Vinita?
Lipyate.
Lipyate. Very good. Na lipyate. We just read in text number 7, right? The qualities of Yoga Yukta. Yoga Yukta, Vishuddhatma, Vijitatma, Jitendriya. Jita means victory. Indriya means victory over senses. Kurvan api na lipyate. He acts, but is not entangled. The same point is being shared here in text number 10. Brahmani adhaya karmani. So similar point. Here, Brahmani, basically you're referring to Yoga Yukta, acting for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And doing whatever actions one is doing, eating, sleeping, etc., etc., is for only one purpose, to please the Lord. Can we make our sleeping as a service to God? Can we make, eating can be made service to God by eating Krishna Prasadam, right? Can we make our talking as a service to God? How can we make Lakshya?
By preaching Krishna consciousness, Kirtana.
Kirtana, very good. What does Kirtana means? Kirti means glory, to sing about the glories, his name, form, qualities, discussing with devotees, sharing with others. So basically everything can be made as a service to God. Even when we are sleeping, we can, before the sleep, after the sleep, offer prayers to Guru and Krishna and say that, Krishna, I want to take some rest for this body so I can serve you better tomorrow. Yes, Vipul Prabhu, want to share something? Yes.
Sorry, Prabhuji, by mistake.
So yeah, so everything can be made in connection to Krishna. Brahmani adhyatma karmani, adhaya karmani. So what will happen? Lipyate na sapapena sangam tyaktva karoti yaha. So sangam basically means sangam tyaktva. Sangam means attachment here. So without attachment, tyaktva means to give up. So give up the attachment to result. Because if you are acting for the pleasure of Krishna, that should be your only motive. No hidden motive, no material desires, no material attachment. That person, lipyate na sapapina, that person will not be entangled by the good or the bad which comes out of that work. It's a very nice verse again, and there are multiple verses in this connection. Anyone else remembers any other verse which talks about something similar? We discussed this 7th verse also in this chapter. I want to bring our attention to 3.9 also. Anyone knows 3.9? Yes, Lakshya.
Janma karma chamam divya evam
I think that's 4.9, Lakshya. Yeah, that's 4.9. I think 3.9 maybe not being the list of 50 verses, but I'll share it. Yagyat karma nonyatra loko yam karma bandhana tad artham karma konteya mukta sangha samacharit. Without performing actions as sacrifice for Krishna or Vishnu, people will be bound by their actions. Loko yam karma bandhana. If you do not, yagyat karmano na yatra. If we do not perform actions in relation to Krishna, we will be bound. So we should do prescribed duties, tad artham karma konteya. We should do our prescribed duties in relation to Krishna. You can say it here as Brahma adhaya, Brahmani adhaya. You can also tell yoga yukta, right? There is a nice verse in Bhagavad Gita which tells whatever we do, we should do as a pleasure to Krishna. Who will tell that verse? 9.27. Vanita, will you try? Sampada? 9.27.
Did you say 9.27?
Uh-huh.
Yad karosi yad asnasi yad juhosi dadasi yad tapasyasi
Kaunteya.
Kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitah.
Mix the last line. Yat karoti yad ashnasi yad juhosi dadasi yad tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva mad arpanam. Don't worry, it happens because you have learned a lot of verses. I also do sometimes like this. And don't worry, it happens. But so same, yat karoshi, whatever you do, whatever you eat, ashnasi. We just read the word ashnasi here, right? In text number 8, 9, you remember? Ashnan, eating. Whatever you do, basically do as an offering. So there are multiple verses in Bhagavad Gita I want to bring out that if one is acting for the pleasure of Krishna, yoga yukta, brahmani adhaya, then there will be no bad reactions. Na lipyate. There will be no sinful reactions. Rather, one will have only transcendental reaction. And what is the transcendental reaction? We will share that. What's the transcendental reaction if one is acting for the pleasure of Krishna?
Happiness.
One will be happy. Very good. What else?
Love.
One will get love for Krishna. One will get purified. And ultimately?
Consciousness.
Awesome.
Sorry, Sudipro, what did you say?
Soulful contentment.
Soulful contentment, happiness, bhakti, and back home, back to Godhead. right? No taking birth in the cycle of birth and death again. Brahma bhuvana loka punaravartino Arjuna, that will not happen. Yad gatva nanivartante tad dhama paramam mama. So that person will go back home. Like a Padma Patra. Padma means lotus, Patra means leaf. How many of you have seen lotus leaf? You all have seen, right? God has given a special property to lotus leaf. That no drop of water stays over it, no drop of dirt stay, no drop of papa can stay over it. So papa here referring to the dirt. So like a lotus leaf, even though in the mud, is untouched by mud. That's why the title of this, the first 12 verses is Be Like a Lotus. Although we are in this world where there is Padam Padam Vipadam, but in this Padam Padam Vipadam, we have to be like Padma Patra. So interesting, right? Padam Padam, Padam also means, Padam means step. At every step there is danger. But when one becomes like a Padma Patra, and how can one become like a Padma Patra? By Yoga Yukta, by acting in devotion to Krishna, in relation to Krishna, Yat Karoshi, whatever we do as an offering to Krishna. Then one will have developed a real vaccination, a real immunity, so that the dirt of the material world will not touch upon that person. The sins of the material world will not touch that person. Although that person is in this world, but not of this world. Be in the world, but not of the world. That means be like a lotus. And that's what we're all trying to be. It's not so easy, but therefore we need good association of other lotuses who we can take inspiration from, that how this lotus is working. This is a very special lamination. How can we intensify our being quality of a lotus? By strongly engaging in the process of bhakti. So that person will not be touched by the dirt of the material world or the impurities or the papa. That person is like a lotus, untouched by water or untouched by dirt. And there are so many nice verses Prabhupada is quoting here. We'll just read the last point here from the purport. The conclusion is that, maybe someone can read this. Anyone would like to read? Who has not yet read? Yes, Ramon Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and Pranam for Prabhupada. The conclusion is that a person without Krishna consciousness acts according to the concept of the material body and senses. But a person in Krishna consciousness acts according to the knowledge that the body is the property of Krishna and should therefore be engaged in the service of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Very nice. Thank you so much. So Prabhupada's in a nutshell gave the conclusion. Very nice. Yes, Lakshay, you want to read next verse?
Yes, Prabhuji. Kayana manasya buddhya kevalya indriyar api yogina karma kurvanti sangam tyaktatma shuddhe. Translation. The yogis abandoning attachment act with body, mind, intelligence, and even the senses, only for the purpose of purification. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much. So again, the same point. They're not using the faculties Krishna has given us. Krishna has given us this human form of body, which is very, very rare. Durlabho manusho deho. Manusha deha, human body, is durlabh. It's not sulabh. Dehinam shana bhangurai. And this deha can be destroyed in any shana. We know that, especially in this day and age. And today we may think, oh, this person was so healthy and fine, and then tomorrow gone. Right? Dehinam Kshanabhangure. Tatrapi durlabham manye vaikuntha priyadarshana. So in this rare human form of life, which is very, very rare and can be destroyed at any moment, the much rare thing is to get association of Sri Guru, Vaishnavas, Sadhus, Shastra. So we're also fortunate that we have that. We have received that rare association of the bona fide Guru, Sri Prabhupada, the wonderful devotees like all of you, the wonderful Shastras like Bhagavad Gita as it is, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and the process of bhakti. So we must take it through our body, mind, words, intelligence, senses. Use that, like Ambrish Maharaj, using our eyes just to read Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, to hands to clean the temple, or even the home temple, to serve the deities, to cook bhoga, to serve prasadam, to distribute books, our legs to go to holy places, Vrindavan, Mayapur, even ISKCON temples. All ISKCON temples are like Tirtha. Make your home a temple, and doing parikrama of Tulsi Maharani, of deities, devotees, very, very powerful. So using our senses, and so in this way, the senses will be engaged rightly for the purpose they are intended. Our BMW, body, mind, and intelligence. Body, mind, and words. Hrida, Vag, Vapu. Multiple verses talk about this point. And then that person is Jivan Mukta. A person acting in Krishna consciousness with body, mind, and words in the service of the Lord is liberated even in this world, what to speak of the next. Basically, that person is not aspiring for anything material. There's only one intention, one goal, and that is to give pleasure to the source of all pleasures, and that is Sri Hari, Sri Krishna. When he applies everything produced of the body, mind, intelligence, life, wealth, etc., whatever he may have, she may have in his possession, her possession to Krishna's service, they are dovetailed with Krishna. He is one with the Lord. This is real union, not impersonal merging in the Brahma Jyoti. To be oneness with the Supreme Lord means to be one with the plan of the Lord, to be aligned by Krishna's plan, to be follow in the footsteps of the path of Vaishnavas. That is real oneness, not the impersonal merging. So this is the perfect state of Krishna consciousness. We don't have to give up our family, home, job, car, business, whatever degrees. Rather, we have to be in dovetail that. 927 Bhagavad Gita, we discussed that. Whatever you do, whatever you offer, whatever you eat, whatever you give away, do that as an offering to me. Tat karoshi mad arpanam. Bhagwan ko arpan. You have to do arpan to Krishna. Then everything will fall in the right place. Let's read the last verse for today. Text number 12. Who has not yet read and wants to really read? Yes, Nayan, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Jukta karma phalam tekta shanitam apnati nashtikam ayukta kama karena phale shakta nibadhayate. Translation by His Divine Grace, Sri Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me, whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, back to you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So, Prabhupada is mentioning the differences between a person who is yukta karma phalam tyaktva. That means one who is engaged on the path of bhakti will get true happiness, true peace, unadulterated peace. Why? Because he's offering the results to me. Krishna is saying this. On the other hand, who is greedy for one's labor. Oh, this is my property. How can I part with Krishna? Or how As if when we were born, we brought millions of dollars or hundreds of rupees or thousands of gold coins with us, or this car, this property, this whatever degree. We became empty-handed, will go empty-handed, but in the middle, everyone feels that I'm the doer. This belongs to me. This belongs to this. I will not give away. And then ayukta, that means one is not absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Karma karina, tries to enjoy the phala. So here we're talking about nishkam karma yoga. That means giving the fruit of one's activity completely to the pleasure, for the pleasure of Krishna. Not be greedy for the fruits of one's own labor. That will lead to bandha, bandhyate, bandh jayega, bandh jiva. That person will become entangled. Rather, the other person who is Krishna conscious will become free. This is very nicely explained by the example of stray dog and pet dog. Who is free? Stray dog is free or pet dog is free? Okay, Lakshay, what do you think?
Pet dog.
Pet dog is free, but pet dog has a leash. Stray dog doesn't have a leash.
The pet dog is like free to like it's free to like get fresh food and like a shelter, while the stray dog has like freedom to like stay outside.
Yes, very good. All he has is freedom to be kicked by other dogs or to be kicked by other house owners. How dare you enter my house? Get out of here. Someone, and in the harsh weather, the rains, you may have seen stray dogs in India. They will have diseases, they will have, not good food to eat, they will run across, this street to that street, other dogs will keep barking. Why? Because he has not taken shelter of the master. He's trying to enjoy the fruits of one's work. He's trying to think, I'm the doer, I'm the proprietor, I'm the master. This gully, this block belongs to me. So, but the pet dogs, I am the property of my master. By surrendering into that unadulterated peace, right? It's a very mundane example, but the point is, the lesson is very deep. One who takes shelter of Guru, then the Guru is like the expert captain, which moves the boat of worship in the right direction. So this is the difference between a Krishna conscious person and the person on the bodily consciousness. So I'd like to kind of summarize this by sharing a quick summary of this point till we have read till text number 12 here. So let me share this in a quick summary. So for those who are taking notes, this is a good thing. So in terms of realization, we'll think of a person who is acting on the platform of Nishkam Karma Yoga. Okay. For in terms of one's realization, one realizes that all the jivas, spirit souls, are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and therefore he is dear to all. Right? This also comes in the later chapter. Who will tell me that one thinks a cow, a brahmana, and a dog eater same? Who will tell me that verse? A verse exam soon. Yes, Vinita?
Krishna, Vishaya Vinivartante. No, Vidya Vinaya Sampane, Brahmane Gaivi Hashini, Sunichaiva Sapakecha, Pandita Samadashina.
Very nice. So see, all these things, link together, right? We just read. Because if someone is seeing with equal vision, a dog, a chandala, then one will not think, oh, he's my brother, I have to protect him. Or he's a chandala, I will not protect him because he's a bad person. Or he's a dog, I'll not. That doesn't mean we have to embrace the tiger. We have to use our intelligence, but be kind-hearted towards all. Because Krishna is present. Atma, Paramatma are present. And knows that all the material activities are as an interaction of the senses of the sense objects. This is a Krishna conscious perspective. So that means he is not the real doer. And he knows that the soul is inactive. Materially, the soul is inactive. That means the soul is aloof. Like the air passes through a garden, the air carries the breeze of the garden, right? The fresh rose flowers, the air passes through a gutter, the air will have that the gutter's bad smell. Similarly, when the soul is in the human body, like ours, we are talking with our mouth. When the soul is in the body of a dog, it will do wow, wow, right? The same talking, the expression will change. Same in the body of a pigeon, different language. The soul is the same, but the expression, the soul is aloof from all these. In terms of action, so these were the 3 points in terms of realization. In terms of action, mind and sense is completely controlled. Okay, we have discussed that. Jitendriya. And acts without attachment, no desire for result. Karma phala tyaga. Nishkam karma yoga. And acts with karmana vacha manasa, body, mind, intelligence. For what? For purification, shuddha, and for the pleasure of Krishna. And what's the result? No papa, be like a lotus, sin cannot touch that person. Na lipyante, discussed twice in text 7 and 10, both, 12 also. And it attains unadulterated peace, Krishna consciousness, back home, back to God, and real happiness, attains love of God. These are the qualities, some of the qualities of Yoga Yukta. That person is free from the action-reaction, completely absorbed in bhakti, mind and senses control, and happy. Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakaleva Shanta. Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami. Desiring for bhoga, mukti, liberation, siddhi, some material powers, kami, other desires. Sakalev ashanta. Ashanta means opposite of shanta. That means always restless, always never peaceful. Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Sakaleva Shanta. Krishna Bhakta is Nishkama. That means that he doesn't desire the fruits of one's activity and is always peaceful. Why? Because one knows that I'm just a puppet. All I have to do is like a pet dog, take shelter of the master. We discussed the example of Prahlad, we discussed the example of a small child. So in so many ways we learn how a yoga yukta must act, and that's what we are all aspiring for. So I'll pause here. In the last 10 minutes, we can take some reflections, questions, additions, corrections, comments. So thank you again for giving your valuable time. Let's hear if something struck you or you have any questions, feel free to share, please. Hare Krishna. Anyone? You can raise your hand if you want to share something. So it's, or you can just unmute and go ahead and unmute and you want to ask or share or tell something.
So Hare Krishna Prabhuji, all these verses are talking the same thing again and again, actually the whole Gita. So probably more or less we all know these things, talk about these things, but how to culture in a day-to-day practice, how to gradually grow up with this, how to imply practically in our daily life. Can you give some examples?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. That's a very apt conclusion. That Prabhupada's purports, if you read even one verse, therefore we say, even if one verse, this is the beauty of a great soul, that even in every verse will bring out only bhakti. So how to apply is, you're all already doing it by the process of taking shelter of bona fide Guru, following his instructions, right? This is very practical. And we know the 16 rounds and the 4 regulative principles, that's the minimum. And then on a practical level, we can do offering at home, take prasadam, and do our best for Krishna. We should ask, and we all honestly know where we stand. And if we honestly know, then we also know the areas we have to improve. If we are not sure, then we must reveal our mind in confidence to senior Vaishnavas then they will help us more specific areas we can improve on, right? And that's basically very bona fide instruction by Srila Rupa Goswami, Nectar of Instruction. Then we should reveal our mind, and then we will know, like you're a doctor, so the patient reveals their symptoms, right? If the patient hides the symptoms, then you won't be able to diagnose the disease, right? The better the patient is open and honest, the better you will be able to diagnose, and the better you will be able to give the right medicine to that patient for his or her betterment. Similarly, pure senior Vaishnavas are like our guru. So we should, or spiritual doctors, so we should honestly and confidentially reveal our mind to them. So how can I apply these teachings more? And then the natural question, okay, what are you doing currently? What are your current symptoms? When did this last symptom occur? All these questions as a doctor asks. So a bona fide guru will ask, okay, how long you have been doing this? If we have, let's say, a bad habit. I'm not talking to Vipul Prabhu as a person here. This is a general things. How we can apply Bhagavad Gita more in our lives by revealing our mind, by honestly introspecting what I'm doing now, what are my shortcomings, how I can do better. These are the questions we should ask. And then they develop a plan to work on those shortcomings, to develop a plan by in discussion with senior Vaishnavas. They will help us to develop some plan so that we can gradually keep making spiritual advancement. For example, someone may have a hard time getting up. For example, someone may have a hard time I'm just sharing general ideas. I'm not talking about any individual here, so don't take it personally. Someone may have a hard time following regulative principles. Someone may have a very hard time, maybe attachment to something which is not aligned with the process of bhakti. And it could be different for different, right? As we have discussed this multiple points, we all may have different weaknesses. So honestly, revealing our mind and discussing with senior Vaishnavas, I feel really helps. I'm also a sadhaka. I'm also trying to improve. I'm also having a lot of shortcomings. So this personally helps me a lot to apply the teachings and being honest and sincerely introspecting also. That, well, it's talking about controlling the mind and senses. What am I doing where I'm not applying this principle? Oh, I watched that nonsensical video. It was not against the regulative principles, but it just consumed my 10-15 precious minutes. And then maybe I shouldn't stop watching it. I know I'm attached to it. I'm just giving one example. It's just some silly, funny video like a prank, but it took my 15 minutes of my precious time. So I should stop doing that. Chaturmas is coming. Chaturmas is actually started actually. We can all take a vow that we will give up something which is dear to us, but which is not aligned to Krishna consciousness, which is not helpful in my Krishna conscious journey. That's a real vow, right? That's real austerity. For someone, it could be watching video games. For someone, it could be, watching some TV serials. For someone, it could be, someone likes to eat like sugar like anything, or every day like 5 rasgullas, and maybe it's time to control. Or some, it could be different for different people. For someone, it could be, waking up late. For someone, it could be sleeping late. We have to see what is our specific vow we can make. So these are just some thoughts, Prabhu, which I feel help me. Is it helpful?
Sure, thank you. Definitely.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sorry for the long-winded answer. Anyone else has any other additions, questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have a little question. I was just sitting and thinking while Vipul Prabhu asked that question, that if we continue doing what we are doing and try to improve, once Krishna sees that sincerity in our heart, he helps us. So I would, Vipul Prabhu, I know you're a wonderful devotee, and my prayers and blessings are with you. Please continue doing what you're doing. I know you were doing once. Hare Krishna.
Absolutely, Prabhu. When we move one step, Krishna comes 1,000 steps towards us. Thank you. Yes, Aparna Mataji. Oh, sorry, Sudhir Prabhu was saying something.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, then yeah, very nice. Yeah, and as per Ramchand Mohan Prabhu said, and we're all like living examples, Prabhuji. So I learn a lot from Prabhuji. I myself don't, follow, but basically what I understood here, Prabhuji, the characteristics you mentioned, the doer, the non-doer, we should think ourselves as the non-doer and leave everything to Lord Krishna. And with love and devotion. And in fact, I also have exactly same. Sometimes I watch YouTube and all. So sometimes you say that, it seems like you're directly talking to me. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, Vipul Prabhu wanted to say something.
Sorry, by mistake, I put on and off.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So, yes, Aparna Mataji, one last question and then we'll wind up. Can you please unmute and speak?
In the entire chapter, what I felt, Krishna is an effigy or a fountain who controls our mind, intelligence, and words. And if one comes out of its false ego and devote his or her services at his lotus feet, then absolute truth one can enjoy, and one will enjoy peace and fearlessness. Peace plus fearlessness is equal to Krishna consciousness, what I felt in this chapter. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, it's a very nice comment. And that's proportional to our willingness to surrender, because Krishna does not like forced love, right? Like anyone else in the world. You say, okay, love me or I'll shoot you. Then there is no option, right? So Krishna does not force love, but yes, if one surrenders unto him, or surrender maybe, in English is not a very good word, but the real word is Sharnagati. As you were watching in the video yesterday, Sudhir Prabhu shared Sharnagati. That means, Krishna, I'm your pet dog. Now you take charge of me. Then he will take, the more we do that, the more he'll take charge of us. And then, as you said, the more one will be happy, joyful, unattached, peaceful, back home, back to God. It's a very nice comment. Thank you. So we will wind up here. It's the first part of the chapter. Stay in the world, but not of the world. Be like a lotus by taking shelter of Krishna. The dirt, the reactions, the negative things of the world will not affect such a person. So next time we will discuss the next P of acronym STEP. Okay. Bhagavad Gita Upanishad ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you so much.